Back at it again with another video. We're talking about negative exponents. I'm going to show you guys how to deal with negative exponents in problems. So problem number one, there's two ways to solve this. And the way that I'm going to solve this is I'm going to take the top part, bottom part of the fraction to the third power. So once I take this fraction to the third power, we're going to have negative 8 m to the 6 and n to the ninth power, right? Multiplied our exponents. 2 times 2 is positive 4, right? Negative 2 times positive 4, negative 8. So that's how we have a negative 8, if anybody's wondering. So we go down to the bottom part and we understand that there is no number in front of the variables. So we just multiply the exponent with the variables and we're going to get m to the 6 and n to the 12th power. So what you guys should remember, or hopefully remember, is when we're subtracting, when we have a fraction, we subtract our exponents. So once we look at m, we're going to do 6 minus 6. So we should know that anything to the 0 power, whether it's a number or a variable, is just going to be 1. So we don't need to put that 1 there, okay? So our final answer so far is just negative 8. However, when we go over to the exponents for n, we have to understand that after subtracting, right, 9 minus 12, we're going to have n to the negative third power. And at this point, we're basically done with the problem. However, we can't have that negative exponent. So what we need to do right now is to take the reciprocal of that negative exponent so we can make it positive. I'm sorry. What exactly does that mean and what does it look like? So I'm glad you guys asked. So we're going to put this fraction bar and put 1, right? Turn it into a fraction. And when we take the reciprocal, we're basically saying what's on top is going to come to the bottom, and what is on the bottom will come to the top. So we're only taking the reciprocal for n to the third. So that's the only thing that is coming down to the denominator. So my final answer would be negative 8 divided by n to the positive third power. So one example of how to deal with negative exponents when we're simplifying with exponents. So let's go on to our next problem. All right. So second problem, we're in blue now. And guys, just understand this is the trick to this problem. There is an addition sign in the middle. So I'm gonna when we get to that part, I'm gonna explain why that's important. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna take both of these, right, monomials, right, both of those, what's inside the parentheses, to the power. Okay. So what's gonna happen is I'm gonna turn this into a fraction so that we have positive exponents, and we could take the reciprocal of 4 to the negative 2. Because when we have 4 to the negative 2, we turn it into a fraction and take the reciprocal, is going to be 1 over 4 squared. So just want you guys to understand why we have a fraction and why 16 is on the bottom and the exponents and variables. So we have 1 over 16, x to the 6, and you know what? Let's slow down real quick. I'm sorry, because I want you guys to understand why this is happening. So after this first step, guys, what happens is we have x to the negative 6, y to the negative 12. So as a result, when I clean this fraction up some more, I'm gonna have 1 all over 16, x to the positive 6, y to the positive 12. So you guys understand why those exponents are in the bottom of the fraction and how they turn positive. So now we're going to go to the second half of our problem, right? So in our second half, what we're going to have as an answer after we take it to the third power is 1 all over 8, right? Because remember, it's 2 to the negative third, take the reciprocal, 2 times 2 times 2, right? All right, so we go to the exponents and understand I'm going to skip that step that I did with the first problem. So we're going to go straight to its answer, okay? So I'm going to have x to the positive 6, I'm sorry, and y to the positive 12. So now at this very last step, the reason why this is important to remember is because what we're doing at this step, it changes. So because there is an addition sign, right now we're not even talking about properties of exponents. We're talking about fractions. So for me to combine these two, right, fractions, they first had to have the same base. So we know that the number part is not the same right now. So that means we're going to have to turn 8 into 16, and we'll get into that sooner later in the video. Right now, we have to remember that x to the 6 and y to the 12, that's a part of the denominator, the fraction. And for us to add, those exponents and variables have to be the exact same, which they are. However, let's say this problem, and we're going to stay in white. What if we had 1 over 16, x to the 6, y to the 12? And instead of addition, it said multiply times 1 over 8 x to the 6 y to the 12. See, that would change the whole dynamic of the problem. And this is a situation where we would have to combine our exponents. But we're not talking about that in this problem. So let's just erase this and we're going to get back to this problem. So in this problem here, I'm going to take that second fraction and we're going to multiply it by 2 so that we could have like bases, right? So once I do that, this is what we're going to have. We're going to have 2, right? Because we multiplied top and bottom by 2. We're going to have 2 over 16 x to the 6, y to the 12. So now remember, when we're talking about fractions, guys, we're adding, we don't do anything with the denominator. So all we have to do is add our numerator and keep the denominator the same. So the answer for this problem will be 3 over 16x to the 6, y to the 12. That would be our final answer. So that's why I say pay attention to the addition sign because it changes the whole property of exponents. All right. So last video for today, I'm going to run through this one real quick. Let's see if we can understand what's going on and how to solve. So in our last problem, after we take our first parentheses, right, our first term to the negative second power, we're going to have x to the negative 4 y to the negative 6, right? And we're going to multiply this by x to the negative 15, y to the negative 12. So what I'm going to do at this step is I'm going to actually combine, right? So remember now, we have a multiplication sign in between these two, not an addition. So now that we have a multiplication sign, we're going to add our exponents. And then we could worry about the fraction and the reciprocal. So I'm going to get x to the negative 19th power, y to the negative 18, right? And at this step right here, guys, what we have to understand is that we're now going to take the reciprocal because we have negative exponents and we can't have that. So the final answer for this, right, is going to be 1 over x to the 19th, y to the positive 18th. And like I said, this will be our final answer. So hopefully you guys found this review helpful. We're so happy that you joined us today, Algebra 1 with Mr. Peters. We're talking about simplifying negative exponents. If you found this video helpful, we ask that you smash the like button for us, subscribe to the channel, and join us next time when we talk about more topics in Algebra 1. Thank you guys for joining.